You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
All right, let's get after it. Time for the Monday edition of Leafs Morning Take presented by Bet365 in person. How many in-person shows have we done, Rosie, in our lifetime?
Live and in color. How many? A handful of playoffs
6.
was the last one. That was fun.
Yeah.
Except for game 7, except for game 5. It's seeming like a long time ago, man. But my feelings are still hurt. But it's good to see you in person. It's good to see you in the studio. It's good to see you out west. What do you think? What have you been doing?
I really like it. I want to thank our friends over at Flames Nation and Barn Burner, Jack Haverstock, Ryan Pinder's here to watch like a cuck. He's like, it's like an actual cuck chair watching this show right now.
I'll thank Jaqueline, but not our little super fan over there.
He's like, he's going to be a Leafs fan after this, but I think they must be happy. No, they must be happy we come in here and we're not going to talk about Nazem Kadri for an hour. That's the good thing.
Nazem the Dream. It's not Nazem, it's Nazem. All right, Naz, buddy. Yeah, so is he moving or what? We should get him on here.
We could have had him in studio, but I guess the morning skate. But the thing I'm poking at is like, it's weird. Like I was excited for this trip. Granted, I booked it like 3 months ago and I thought it'd be talking about a trade deadline, the Olympic break, the momentum. But no, they're sellers, Rosie.
I know. And I want to know what that looks like. Everyone seems to unanimously be talking about this retool. I'm trying to figure out how you get rid of the players that everyone's talking about and get better. Like is a retool as in we're going to be in the playoffs next year? Or is this a step back? Or I'm trying to figure out how we're going to get better and who's going to play on the team after all of these suggestions come to fruition. It's not an easy tweak. It's not everyone's just, do what Boston did. Well, I'm a little bit worried about it, to be honest. And and then the full blow up is 4 minimum years of pain. I just every time I look at it, run through scenarios, I don't know how this team leaves this season in the rearview mirror and picks up on the right foot. I don't think it's that easy.
I just truly would love to know like their approach to the trade deadline. Like I'd love to be in the war room right now. This is what we're going to do. This is how we feel. I would love to know the phrasing. Like I do believe Brad Treliving is going to speak at some point in time, probably in my opinion, after the game at Edmonton at some point, whether Pelly's there or not. There's my intrigue. But what's the wording look like is my question. Like, how do you think they come out?
Well, that's what I've been waiting for. That is that's the question. Like, first of all is maybe the longer it goes, the more I think that they're not going to go into the deadline with Treliving. If you have a conversation or a press conference with Pelly and Tree, in my mind, you're going through the deadline with Tree. And if you're going through the deadline with Tree, I think he's your GM this summer, no?
Has to be. Yeah.
So, okay, let's get over that. Unless there's like an announcement that Tree is, I just don't know what they're going to do. Nonetheless, when they talk about what's going to happen, I want some clarity on where their head is at. And I mean, I think they need to have time to get into the boardroom to really talk about some things, to go over the free agency market, to go over the, what's going to be available, to make some calls, to get a sense of where this, because I don't think they know. Like, that's just part of the business. We got to figure out where we're headed, what's on the line. We got to talk to everybody. We got to crunch some numbers, and we got to, come up with a plan. That takes time. So I'm very, very curious to see where their head is at. It's, when Tree spoke on TSN last week, it was like, it was really weird. Like
didn't say anything.
The time of what's going on and what just happened to their season, he jumps on to be like, "We didn't fire our scientist, guys." It's like, is that really what? Like, I just thought he just dumped gasoline on something that was a nothing burger in the first place from Jonas. Like, let's be honest. Like, has anyone been worried about their training staff? Like, everyone's been banged up. This season's been a grind for a lot of teams. They have an aging blue line. I just didn't think that was on the radar, but it was weird that he shows his face to kind of try to squash that, but really just showed more light on it, to be honest. But I am patiently waiting for them to say something, because I would love to get a direction on where to go, because right now everything is completely up in the air.
Yeah, I thought the response was telling. I think it tells you the magnitude of the situation too, and maybe he's joined the trip, but I don't think Brad Treliving started the trip with this team, which is a bit surprising because of where we're at right now. He's the former GM of the Calgary Flames. It's probably one game you think he'd want to be in attendance for, but maybe it speaks to like the magnitude and the levity of the situation. Our Super Chat charity partner is Sick Kids. Want to make sure that your question or comment gets on the show. Hit us up with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, ranked the #1 research-intensive children's hospital in Canada and 3rd in the world. So we're getting closer to the Olympic break, and obviously there's a trade freeze coming up. But we got some more clarity, I guess, over the weekend. They're on the pathway to beginning the process of becoming sellers from Friedge. And also the big one, reaffirming the love with Poppy, number 34. So maybe we can lay to rest any conversation about maybe Poppy's parents, looking for houses in Vegas or something behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, and I don't think that conversation ever got too serious. I mean, I think that if Pappy wanted an extension here at some point in time when it was due, I think they would probably ink him up. The question is, what do you surround him with? Is he your number one guy? What's the story with Willie? Where are you at on the cap? Who are the free agents? What is your priority list? Are you doing something with the D? The goaltending situation? What are you bringing in? Some second rounders? Are you getting some prospects? Do you want to win next year? How does this thing look? And I'm not surprised to hear they're going with Auston Matthews again. I think after what happened after their 5-game losing, dropping all 5 on the home game stand that was going to make your season or break it, and they stamped as hard as they could, it's going to break it. Like, we are not showing up to not any of these games. We're going to lose all of them, and we're going to just abolish the conversation of playoffs all in a week here. So that's what they did. Now, everyone's questions are the same. Where does this leave them? Obviously, you start to throw everything against the wall. Can you win with this group? What have we seen so far? Do you build around these guys? Do you keep both of them? Do you have serious conversations? And we did that. It's fun. That's our job. Yeah. What would it look like to put this guy on the table? What would it look like to put this guy out in the free market? Do you ask around about him? Do you make some calls on this guy? It's fun to do that. At the end of the day, I'm not surprised one bit that they're going to keep Auston Matthews, and they say that. I'm sure he'll say that at the end of the season.
Do you want to walk back the convo about the tablet usage, or are you going to stick by it?
No, I don't. If you want to clarify, I mean, I understand I like having replays. I like a guy to being able to say what happened there. And I don't mind the tablets being there. But when they're playing the way they are and there is no cohesion, they are completely disconnected. There doesn't seem to be any leadership. There's no nothing on that bench. And Craig Berube has said to the media himself, the bench is pretty dead. And you got a guy who just like clockwork takes his gloves off and just buries himself in the pad. Like, you can, it's the level of how often are you doing that? What are you getting out of it? And are you removing yourself from the bench as far as being present? And that's all I'm saying about it. And I stick to that. And I had multiple people throughout the league, coaches, current and former, other players that said, bang on, does that ever drive me goddamn nuts? Because they've been on the bench. A lot of people haven't. They don't think it's a big deal. Oh, you can go blow your nose and sit. No, there's a thing going on the bench. There's an energy. There's an attitude. There's leadership that takes place there. And I'll just be honest, I haven't seen enough from Auston Matthews. I know he's hot right now, and people are on board with him, and that's great. And I am too. Like, I'm not against it at all. But like, do we forget about the first 30 games of the season? Where was he? You were dropping winnable games left, right, and center. And at the end of the day, that, everything from Christmas beforehand is why this season is in the toilet and we are in turmoil right now. And where was your captain? Where was your stud? Where was your star? Where was your most talented player in the world? He was nowhere to be found. And I mean, people seem to have forgotten that pretty damn fast here during this little last week of realization that they're toast.
It's interesting too when you look back at this season, and again, it's felt like it's been 200 games. Like, what a marathon and training season. But like, you can definitely count on 3 fingers who's actually exceeded expectations this season. And I think that's why we're in this scenario, this situation where we're talking about a sell. It's February 2nd. In my wildest dreams, man, regardless of everything that transpired with Mitch Marner, that I think I'd be sitting here in the great Barn Burner studio in Calgary and talking about selling at the trade deadline and being points so like way beyond the conversation about playoffs right now. It's nuts.
It is wild. Do we go back to the summer and talk about, retooling, getting an identity, bringing in some bigger bodies, play with some snot, all those things that a GM says one word in this market in the offseason about the direction of a team, and it becomes, this repetitive word where everyone just, tattoos themselves with it. And,
Yeah.
The Dakota Joshuas and the Nick Wa's, like, Nick Waugh, and he flies under the radar pretty hard, doesn't he? But I thought he was going to be a
Where
bigger
is he?
presence. There's been times where he's kind of part of a third line that's really buzzing.
Sure. Yeah.
And but it never seemed to like really line up with anything else. Like if they were doing that, they were the only line buzzing, and Matthews' line or Nylander, Nyes was completely, nowhere to be found. But then it just, nothing happened together. And yeah, where is Nick Waugh? What was he supposed to be? And I feel like he has been a massive disappointment. Would you agree?
Yeah, like I think, if I recall the conversations we had last summer, it was about identity change and DNA change, whatever way they phrased it. And I think I look at this team, there's zero identity. Like I think a bunch of the players they've put together, it just hasn't meshed. And Nicolas Waugh, like if you recall, I'm going to own it. I really like the pickup. Obviously, it stinks that you're getting him in return for perennial all-star and Mitch Marner, but I thought he'd supply a bit more than he's brought to the table. Like there's been moments where you're like, man, he's really using his size and the cycle game strong. And you could tell that, he's played in some meaningful games, but he's been so MIA. Like he just scored his first goal in like a month. Like it's just astounding that you look across the board. And again, OEL is the one guy that sticks out that's exceeded expectations. And you're in trouble when that's the case.
Him and Stetcher, who wasn't even on who wasn't even on the team in the summertime. But yeah, I would agree. OEL's the only one that stands out as doing something well, and everyone's talking about him being a trade chip. And it sucks. You can't trade garbage for something good. You got to trade someone with some value. But how many valuable pieces on this roster can you afford to lose and just roll the dice with whoever the hell you're going to get to take his place? That's what worries me. Like you could be worse next year.
Yeah, you
really could. And they talked about the identity. I think this team is as far away from having an identity as they've been in a long time, especially in the summer. At least they had a direction at the time. At least they had an idea and a game plan. At least they had a foundation that says, here's what we're good at, here's where we're lacking, and here's what we're going to do to address that to become a team that goes further in the playoffs. That obviously didn't happen. What pisses me off is like the way they've played. You talk about Nicolas Waugh. Remember that Florida game where he had like one or two shifts where, Florida was like, holy shit, we don't have anything going. Let's do Florida Panthers things. Run around, get all physical, get all aggressive, get in everyone's ears, stir the pot, get them on their heels, run them out of the building. And the Leafs just went, oh yeah, throttle down. We'll fucking do that even harder. And they stunned the Panthers. And like, the feeling in that building and the feeling of everyone's group chats and the feeling on all the shows after was like, oh my God, that is as legit as it gets. And then what do? They just completely abandon that. That's a one-off. You'll never see that again. Like when they find formulas on how things work in that 10-game stretch or whatever after Christmas, how do they not adopt that? How do they not say, boys, do you realize what we did tonight? Do you remember the feeling? Do you understand what everyone did shift after shift? That's the MO for the rest of the season. That is what we're trying to access every single time without fail. It's like no one even considered it. That's what's so mind-numbing in this market is everyone wants this thing. Everyone's so passionate, the passion that unites us. Well, it doesn't seem to be on the roster. I mean, sorry to be negative, but we're sitting here long gone out of playoffs and it's February 2nd, and they've been out since this week. Like, odd. I just can't help but be frustrated at the mentality on that team and the leadership and the inability to get these guys on board. And everyone's pointing their finger at Craig Berube, but Craig Berube has been dying for them to do the things they need to do to be successful. So what are you going to do? Bring in a guy that's going to be softer on them? Bring in a guy that doesn't require all that stuff? Then where are we going to be? We just did that for how many years? Yeah. It's hard to think that I don't know. Everyone's on Berube. He's probably going to get fired. What do you think the percentages of that are? I think they're very high. Yeah. Yeah. And I just bring in the other guy and what the fuck, what he's going to take it easy on them and not demand them to play hard.
Same shit. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I really have trouble wrapping my hand around this team being better in the near future unless something kind of drastic happens.
Yeah, because you're right. Like it's one of those things like, okay, you bring in a new coach. You don't think there's going to be the same systemic issues if you don't make a major move to the core. It's going to be the same shit.
Well, the systems are what fucking systems. So what, you're not going to have them forecheck that, you're going to have them dipsy doodle at the blue lines instead of chipping it deep when you run out of space, and that's going to bring you success. I mean, even with Marner on the team playing that style, it wasn't good, and he's a dipsy doodler. Like, you don't have the guys. It's just going to be turnover city. Your ozone time is going to be terrible. Your chances are going to go down. I don't get how changing the system is going to bring this team success. It's, you watch the games and the losses and the lack of heart and the lack of connectivity from the guys being on the same page and going to war, and people get tired of those, mindless things. But there's only so many ways to describe what it looks like when a team's firing on all cylinders, and it's the opposite of what they've done for the majority of this season. And the fact they couldn't wake up, the fact they couldn't pull themselves out of it, the fact they couldn't do any course correction throughout the season in their slides is the most frustrating part. The most frustrating part is seeing them actually have little pockets of doing it right. And you're like, okay, guys, like, so you're capable, so you've proven it, so it's in there. If they just had this completely disconnected team where they never had it going, never had the ship point in the right direction, it's like, fuck, they don't have it, move on and retool or whatever. But you saw it look good. Why wouldn't you have more commitment to trying to play that way? It seemed like they weren't even trying to do it right when they had those losses. And it's like, guys, you know what this fucking looks like. You've done it. And that's the most frustrating part. And I think that's why you see the frustration on Chief's face a lot of the time, and why he has been vocal even in the media, which you try not to do in Toronto, about those issues.
Consistently inconsistent is probably my takeaway from this Maple Leaf season for sure. Anyways, we roll on here. Don't forget TLN After Dark tonight with Zach Phillips. I will go on after the game here in Calgary from the arena, so looking forward to that. Also strolling into the studios today because I'm staying in East Village. Saw like the framework of the new building. I'm excited for this city. It's a long time coming, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're going to be going through some barn burner stuff in the future, but they're not a playoff team, and they know they're not.
Subscribe, Flames Nation.
Yeah, and they do a good job at, shooting the shit and talking about stuff when the team, you don't break down every win and every loss and every game the way that you will for a team that, considers himself a contender. But no, it's exciting for them. They've gone through some issues and they're figuring shit out. But yeah, I mean, I think the team, hopefully, I think the plan is to be able to hit their stride when they get in that new building. It's going to be exciting for everyone out west.
Yeah, this is great too, because Rosie was actually an alumni member of the Flames before he was, I think, of the Leafs. And you didn't play for the Calgary Flames last time I checked. So
no, they've got a big alumni. If you played at any level and are from the area, they do a lot of stuff around these parts. So yeah, they asked me to come on and jump in on a golf tournament here or there, go see some kids, do a few things here or there where I can. I don't exactly live in the city, but there's a lot of guys that you wouldn't expect to be on the Flames and alumni. It's an unbelievable alumni, much like the Leafs are.
We're taking a stroll down memory lane today, and Justin Pogge, former Maple Leafs stud prospect netminder, is going to drop by. Of course, synonymous, attached to the hip of Tuukka Rask and that deal back in the day. And I thought it was only fitting. We're out west. He coaches with Abbotsford now, the Canucks in the AHL, and also the fact of all the conversation about this Carlo trade, man. I'm watching that crazy Stadium Series game on Sunday and Minton's buzzing. Why is that guy wearing 93, by the way? That's my question. Alex Steve scores in that game. It's like everywhere you look, Rosie, at least out east, I'm thinking Boston, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, everyone thinks a retool is so easy because you watch them do that and be in a playoff spot. I don't think anyone would pick them to be in a playoff spot this season last year, not in a million years, but they found a way. And, the trend of people exiting Toronto and flourishing continues, and I'm not surprised. Does that mean that it's hard to play in Toronto, or is it just unlucky, or are they just making bad moves? Probably a little bit of column A, B, and C, but
all the above.
Yeah, it's not surprising me to watch Minton. We knew Minton was pretty good. We didn't know if he was as good as Cowan or whose upside was what, and that's still yet to be seen. I don't know if he's going to be scoring at the clip that he is right now. I think his shooting percentage is through the roof, and it's probably unsustainable. But yeah, I mean, more when it rains, it pours, and there's not a lot of positives no matter where you look. You look at that Carlo trade. It was supposed to fill a hole to win last year and in the future. We needed a D-man. We needed a stud. We needed a right-handed shot. We needed these certain things, and obviously you couldn't get that without giving up what they gave up. Someone else was on the table. Sorry, Brad, You're going to have to throw in X. You're going to have to beat this team. It's going to have to be Minton or nothing. Okay, well, we're going to the playoffs. I didn't make any moves, and now we're going to get shelled, and it's going to be because we're not good enough defensively. That would have been the story that Treliving was trying to avoid. Everyone liked getting the name branding Carlo. Hasn't worked out. Has not worked out.
You were taking a shit or a piss, right?
I came back from a leak and it was a done deal. But I don't know, like, if he's on, do you think he's on the trade bait, or like
he's got to be, yeah.
But how do you, like, then it's just going to be a rubber stamp on horrible deal, because you're never going to get back a prospect like Minton in a first for him. Yeah. So you're only going to solidify the fact that it was a horrendous deal.
Yeah, it's a good point. So maybe you wait on that front.
I don't know, man.
I know people in the chat are chiming in. Yes, Minton wore 39. The reason why I asked the rhetorical question is because that guy in Vegas wears 93. I wondered if there was an attachment, but
Doesn't
I get
sound like it.
It's just a reverse number. Anyway, so Justin Pogge is coming up in about 10 minutes here at the Leafs Nation 4-1 on YouTube. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget as well to check out theleafsnation.com. Crave the Stats is a presentation of Uber Eats. Every time the Leafs play at home, you can get these exclusive deals only on Uber Eats: Firehouse Subs, Bogo Brisket Hat Trick, Kibo Sushi, Bogo California Roll, Shelby Shawarma, Bogo Traditional Wrap. That's right. Buy one, get one before, during, and after the game. Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. How about that crowd in Vancouver on Saturday night, Rosie? That was awesome. Better than Scotiabank Arena. They're buzzing.
Didn't Scotia just get rated worst in the entire league?
It should be
a viewing experience.
It should be.
I like going to the Scotiabank when it's on Leafs games. There's an electricity in there that does not show up during the game.
In Toronto?
Yeah.
I hate it there.
Being there live, I hate watching on TV. It really feels like a morgue, and rightfully so. The last, during that 5-game bust. But yeah, I mean, they travel so well. It's hard to tell in Vancouver, like, how much of that blue is Van and how much of it is Toronto. But they travel well, and the fans that don't get to watch them at Scotia all the time, they mark it on their calendar. Tonight's going to be no exception.
Yeah, I agree.
Interested to see how much blue is clashing with red tonight too.
I think quite a bit, but I mean, that Go Leafs Go chant watching that game on Saturday night was the loudest Go Leafs Go chant of the season, which is a bit problematic because they're in Vancouver, man.
Yeah.
Like I again, and I can't speak for the players. You can certainly speak to it. You've played in this league. I think players get a bit of a boost when you got the crowd support, and not to get back in that whole conversation about the crowd and the morgue and that atmosphere at Scotiabank, but I think it's a bit uplifting, right? As a player, to hear that from your fans.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, at home it's huge, obviously, but on the road, when you hear it, you're, if you're doing well and they're overwhelming the other crowd, and the other crowd, and it's your play that dictates it. If your play is dictating, momentum, and your crowd can overpower theirs, it's huge. And does anyone else travel like that? Like that, no. The Leafs are the only team in the entire league that can say they do that.
Mitch Marner got booed louder in Vegas than Toronto.
Yeah,
explain that for me, please.
Well, the regulars in the Scotiabank Arena are quiet, and they are white collar, and they are not true passionate paint your face fans, not by a long shot. And the other people who love the Leafs and follow them generationally, they get one chance a year to maybe see them. So you're going to make the most of it. I mean, that's your answer right there. And again, it's funny. There's no other team that can go on the road and get their crowd to be louder than the home crowd, except the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's something that's kind of special, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I look forward to that. I look back at that game, I should say, against the Canucks. Like, I'm not going to take away too much. They found a way to beat the worst team in the league against their third string netminder. And it was a crazy, frantic OT. The entertainment experience was through the roof. Matthews scores a beauty in the shootout. Willie returns. I got some heat on social media, and somebody said, like, one of the media comments. I'm sure you get them as well now, being a media member. Mm-hmm. And it was over my comments on Marshall Rafai, who I thought had a really, really difficult night. And that's all I pretty much said on Twitter. It was a tough night for Marshall Rafai in his season debut.
Oh, it was. It's his second game in the National Hockey League, right?
But the bounce back was like, this is what Toronto media does. Like, I couldn't disagree more. All I was stating, this guy's playing in the NHL, and he was having a difficult night.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the kind of noise you just got to block out, I guess. I mean,
Thank you for that.
Sorry, but there's not going to be a lot of positive things come out of Toronto media right now. Look at the turmoil the team is in, and you're going to do shows all the time. Everyone does a show every day. And after every game, well, you're going to break down every detail of it. Sorry to tell you. And Rafai, I think they just wanted to give him a look. See what he looks like. Let's just see what he looks like.
He played 940, Rosie.
Now they know. I don't think we'll see him. Like you need to put Benoit in the stands. And I don't know if that's a little wake-up call or a message or just a breather or what. But, you got Benning in there, who's a veteran NHLer. If you want someone serviceable that can, just kind of get a job done, fine. I think they just wanted to take a look at Rafai. Maybe he's been doing things on the Marlies that have, garnered some attention or required a reward of some kind, whatever it was. He struggled out there. It's his second NHL game. I get it. Kind of a tough spot to go into, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see Benning or some other pairings out there. Like, I just don't know what to expect or hope for the rest of the season. Like, we can't tank our way to getting that pick back from Boston. It's just not going to happen. You'd have to win 6 or 7 or 8 games the rest of the season. That's not going to happen.
No way.
The teams below you are too far and too bad. It's like, it's Leafy. You're stuck in this no man's land. There's no chance of making the playoffs, and there's no chance of tanking and getting your pick back. So what are we hoping for the next 28 or whatever games it is?
Being entertained. I was thinking about that over the weekend. Like, what was my major takeaway from watching the Vancouver game? I was entertained. I wasn't bored to death.
Well, that's good. And, I mean, the Leafs, aside from if Willie's having a night or if Austin's having a night, there's not a real big entertainment factor like there is in Edmonton, there is in Florida. Those teams met in the final last year. Entertaining. Matthews will get a breakaway or a penalty shot in overtime you can hope for. It's just brutal that there's this much runway left that we have trouble finding ways to care about it.
I thought that third period was a microcosm of this season for the Maple Leafs. And the wording after from Craig Berube, it's like, this was the most important period of the year. I'm paraphrasing. But to watch them play the way they did in that third period pissed me off beyond degree, because it's like, where has that been all season long? And granted, it's Vancouver. They're the worst team in the league. You expected them to blow that game. But where has that been for the Maple Leafs all season long was my question.
I really think that this group struggles with pressure. And,
fair. Yeah.
When the heat is on, they tend to grip it a little bit hard. They tend to look around and tighten up and coil up and curl up and not really, burst out and say, give me the reins, give me the game, give me the spotlight. I'm taking it. And when what bothers people in this market, when you interview them, they don't acknowledge it. They don't say this is a huge game and we're chomping at the bit and we want it. Like, this is big to our group. Tonight's a big night. We know what's at stake. They never do that. They always downplay it. It's like, oh, scary, scary pressure. Don't add any more pressure. Too scary. Oh, downplay it. Meanwhile, the other team who's coming into town is chomping at the bit saying, oh, this is a fucking huge one. We know what's on the line and we're ready to test ourselves against it, and we believe in ourselves. The Leafs downplay everything, and they go out there and they just kind of whimper around. Like, fuck, name a pressure-packed scenario that they've come through on the other side in the last, I don't know how far back you want to go, take your pick.
Never.
But it's always been this, like, I want some dogs to stand up and like stand on the podium and say, we know what's going on here. We know you got our back. We're ready to go to war. And it's always the opposite of that. It's like, fuck, why do they got to downplay everything? Why can't they say what's real? Like, is any game big to this group? Because they sure don't seem to acknowledge it.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. You're so right. And it gets back to the point about being just consistently inconsistent. It was their first win in Van since December 10th, 2019, which has obviously been a while. They still haven't won in regulation since January 10th. That's another sidebar story. And the other story, Morgan Rielly, like, is he done for the Olympic break? Like, he just leaves that game, doesn't come back for the third period, and it's weird how it works out, but they win the game. And they're good defensively.
Well, like, not to pile on, but how many losses do you have where he wasn't a big factor in several goals against?
I feel for him, man.
I do too.
He's so lost defensively, but like, when I look back, it's 13 seasons as a Maple Leaf. Like, that's a long ass time. And he's just been like the image. When you think Maple Leafs, you think Morgan Rielly, what he does behind the scenes, what he does for the city. He means so much to the market, but defensively, it's concerning where, like, every night, to your point, there's one or two massive mistakes that lead to goals.
Yes, like kind of like clockwork this season. It's been a really rough one, and there's times where you can plus minus only means so much,
Yeah.
but you compare it with a guy that plays similar minutes on the same team, and you guys are at completely polar opposite ends. It does say something, and he's a good guy, and I've talked to guys who've played with him. He's a good teammate, and so you feel for it. But like hell, he's been here 13 years. Everything runs its course. It's a little bit stale right now. I think you eat a couple $1,000,000 and find someone who could use him and could bank on the fact that get him a change of scenery. And I think that, his ability to play defense could come back. But, when it rains, it pours. I feel for him. That position is very difficult. I played pro as a defenseman for a couple of years, and when it rains, it pours, and it can pile on. And when you're second guessing yourself and worried to get exposed, it seems like every other decision you make is the wrong one. And then you make the other one the next time, and it goes the other way to what you thought the first time, and you just can't fucking win. Very difficult. I feel for him, but I really think he could benefit from a change of scenery. And there's got to be someone out there who you eat a couple million, and maybe for 5 million, like how many points is he on pace for? He still chips away a little bit, even though he's not your power play quarterback. I think he could be serviceable for someone else, and a change of scenery would do everybody good.
Yeah, and you look back at Saturday, not a surprise, but OEL placed 28-10, McCabe 27-40 at the Leafs Nation 401. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. The following interview is brought to you by Rielly and Levelware. Golf is evolving, and Rielly and Levelware is right at the heart of the cultural shift as athletes from across pro sports embrace the game and bring fresh energy to the course. Inspired by Hawaiian and coastal lifestyle vibes, Rielly and Levelware translates that feel into sustainable high-performance apparel built for today's athlete. The collection is live now. Visit levelware.com to shop polos, hoodies, hats, casuals, and much, much more. That's Rielly and Levelware. Why don't I turn things over to you for the intro and our guest today, Rosie?
Well, I guess we're getting out of the age where it's a little bit of a blast from the past, but Justin Pogge, what's up, my man? I had the pleasure of playing
What's going
Pogge.
on, Rosie?
Traded to Toronto. It's getting to be a while ago, but a hell of a teammate, a good guy, and a guy that's familiar with the market of Toronto, and it looks like he is coaching young minds these days. How you doing, Pokes?
I'm doing great, Rosie. It's nice to see you again. It's been a while. I think the last time I saw you was at Sharky's.
Shocker.
Those were some nights, all right. What's going on these days, Pokes? People are happy to hear from you. You're coaching some young minds in the Canucks organization, are you?
Yeah, grinding out in the American League. It's a lot different year than we had last year. Last year was my first year pro coaching, and it was kind of a Cinderella story. But this year's been back to reality, and I've been happy with my guys, but enjoying it. Definitely enjoying just the transition right into coaching here.
Pogs, thank you so much for doing this. I got to talk about the mustache first. Where's that inspired from? Is it a Wendell throwback? Like, what's going on here?
You know what? I started growing out in Charlotte, and my buddy's like, I kind of like it. And then the next year in Portland, my buddy Ryan Hallwig told me, you grow that duster in your hair out all year, and I'll grow my beard and my hair out all year. So it's been there ever since. It's been, 13, 14 years. So wife likes it. She'd be pissed if I got rid of it.
She likes the French tickler, does she? I don't blame her.
Yeah.
What's it like being on the other side of things? You played pro for so long. It's a different transition. Do you find yourself, reminding yourself what it's like to be a player and to be a goalie? And has that transition been easier than you thought, or what's the mindset like as you make that jump?
Well, I think playing so long, you understand where guys are coming from. So you have that perspective on it. But the coaching side, I didn't realize that these guys just grind in the rink all day. Like, it's a lot. But
they don't go home at noon.
I wish I would have gave these guys a little bit more credit. But I think just coming into it and being around some sort of this generation is helpful, and kind of understanding kind of the younger player and their mindset. I think is helpful to some of the coaching aspects of it, but it's fun. It's a good chance just to. I'm not an X and O's guy, just more of a plays and experience, and you learn a lot playing playing pro for 17 years. And I just want to give that a little bit of information and little things that I see in the game that might make their game a little easier, just kind of pass it along.
What's the biggest thing you learned from your career that you sort of transferred to your knowledge of now being a goalie coach?
I think efficiency in the game. I think efficiency and simplicity. There's a lot of technical goalie coaches out there that really, you got to do this and this and this and in this position that. When it's getting up to the American League and the NHL level, you don't have time to think about it. So if you have a simple game plan and you kind of stick to that, obviously there's little tweaks here and there, but if you can simplify your game and just move efficiently and have your feet under you, that's pretty much the basis of what I say is just like, if we can get our feet and be patient, get in front of the puck, get in the way of a couple.
And I've always, thought that the goaltending position is so unique. I mean, there's so much pressure. The buck stops with you. Any mistake, I mean, a horn goes off and fireworks shoot off and 20,000 stand on their feet. It's not the case for everybody else. And I think that pressure is why it makes goalies so weird. But when you're coaching these guys, you have been a high prospect. You have been in the Toronto market before. How much of your teachings are on the mental side of the position?
I mean, you just have to worry about your job. I think, when you start, if the team's not scoring and you give up one, and I mean, we had a game this past weekend where we put up 53 shots and the guy let in one goal, and it's 23 at the other end and it's a 3-1 hockey game. It's just, you can't do more than your job, and you just focus on the next shot. You get scored on, focus on the next shot. And, it's kind of crucial to realize it's not the end of the world, but you have to be ready.
Pogues, your story is pretty incredible, and I thought it was pretty amazing. 20 years later, full circle moment. You're coaching Team Canada after starring at the World Junior 20 years ago. What's that full circle moment been like for you?
I mean, it was amazing. When Russo was getting the chance in Canada, or when we were in Sweden, the first couple of games with all those Canadian fans that showed up in Gothenburg, it kind of gave me chills, and just know what he's experiencing, how good that feels. It was a disappointing end of the tournament, but I was really happy with my goalie crew and the guys that we had. It's just, other countries are just getting a lot better, and they're catching up.
Mm-hmm. And Pogues, it's a tough time in Leafs Nation right now with the situation they're in. But in general, do you follow the team a little bit? And if so, what's your take on their goaltending situation this year?
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching. We had Sammy Blais on our team, and he did a stint in Toronto, so I was ISO camming on him. I love that guy. But the goalie situation, I think Wolves, he's a great talent. He's got a lot on his shoulders. I don't know what's going on with Stolarz. He's a big guy, and I just seem like he has a lot of time off. I don't get it. You're supposed to be a giant in there and take the hits like Ben Roethlisberger. But I liked Hildeby when he was up. I think he's another great young talent. Kind of reminds me of Tolopilo that we have here in the Vancouver system. I think you guys have a lot, but it's not easy playing in Toronto. And I think the little bit of leeway, I think there's a little bit more patience the last couple of years in Toronto with their young goalies, and I really appreciate that. I think that's what they need. It's probably compounded pressure just being in that market.
And I think the interesting aspect too that you bring up Hildeby is the size, right? And you can't teach size. Where do you sit in that conversation? Because then you got the old schoolers, guys like UC Saros, and you're like, man, this guy's so athletic, he moves so quickly. But where do you sit in that conversation? Obviously, it's a big time asset when the dude's massive like Hildeby is.
Yeah, I think just surface area. When Dustin Wolf first came into the NHL, he's an exceptional talent, but some pucks get tipped on the way, and you just don't have the surface area covered. Whereas Hildeby being, I don't know, is he 6'6" or 6'7"? I don't know, but he's big and he plays a calm game, and I really like his game. And it's just there's energy, and then there's calmness, and the big guys, you need to add a little bit of energy, but they have to be inside the post to make plays. And then the smaller guys, they really got to be a lot more patient. If you look at UC Saros' footwork, he's got his feet under him a lot and he's not sliding around, but he has to grab his edges and grab depth and all these things that make him successful. So, I think it's all about talent. Yeah, obviously I like the bigger guys, but the shorter guys are the average size goalies now, which are average being like 6'2", 6'3" now. I think that, there's just so much talent, but there's the guys can score, and it's just such a faster game. It's a hard position right now.
Is that why this change in how much a goalie can play? Is it the speed of the game and the way they move, or what's changed from the time where Marty Brodeur is making, playing 65 times a season to where now goalies can't even play back to back?
I think science got in the way of that. I think guys got to get used to playing back to back, just mental fortitude. I understand all the mental health and stuff like that, but you got to build that strength, and iron sharpens iron, and I think you have to build that, and I think it comes from the American League and coming up through. You got to build that mental fortitude and be able to stand in there, because the playoffs, you can have back-to-backs, and you have to be that guy. You're not going to go with the guy that's been on the bench for a month and a half. So you got to be ready. I think it's something that I think should be back in the game, is letting these guys go for a run, get a feel of it, and learn. I think that's where the efficiency comes into the game, is to learn how to play when you're tired. Rosie and I, we played in a different era where, guys were going out and stuff like that, and you just have to learn how to perform and be a man and show up. If you're going to go out with the boys, you got to show up for work like a man. So these kids now, they're just very dialed in, but I think that they need to strengthen up and get a little bit more old school.
They're soft, are they?
I wouldn't say they're soft, but they're just different.
Yeah, times have changed. I mean, you guys worried about like the extracurriculars after the game. Now it's more about like, what am I wearing to the game? But we're not going to go to that topic. 20 years ago, your time as a Maple Leaf, what do you remember about the organization in that time as a Leaf?
I think it's jumped up leaps and bounds, and just development wise, they've, and especially in Toronto, you've got every toy, every thing that can make you better, and they've got multiple goalie coaches. They've got multiple sheets of ice. It's you could really dial in and put your time in. I think back then it was a lot different. I had a goalie coach that would come in once a month, and you're just kind of on your own, and you got to figure it out. Yeah,
and being young, and now that you've grown up and everything, you're getting drafted to a team like Toronto. Was that a lot of added pressure, or is it just being a kid starting the pro journey, or being as it was the Toronto Maple Leafs? Do you think that you mentioned all the resources available and whatnot, but was it more difficult going to that market as a goaltender and a young guy and a high prospect?
I didn't try to put any extra pressure on myself, but it was tough. And when I did get my chance, I didn't think I was ready, or didn't have enough time to get adjusted. I would go up and get sent back down, play, and get called back up, take the red eye in. And, I don't think I was put in a position for success, but I don't want to take it away. I did get a chance, and, I didn't take the opportunity, or it just didn't work out for me, but no hard feelings there. It's just, I have to put that to the side and focus on my game when I was there as a young kid. And I think I could have done a few things different, and, stayed in the area and really maybe, attached myself to some of the legends that have been there, and just kind of asked them how they survived in that market.
Yeah, I think the unfortunate part of it, not to open old wounds, was just the attachment to Tuukka Rask, right? The attachment to that deal with the Boston Bruins. Can you speak to that era? Like, I was probably, 13, 14 diehard Maple Leafs fan, just the way I am, and just experiencing that from the outside, I can only wonder, like, humanizing the situation. It's one thing I've learned, like, covering this league for the last 15 years. Like, we're humans. Can you talk about what it was like in that time? So Tuukka Rask goes to Boston, the pressure on you to be that guy for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, I mean, Tuukka Rask was an unbelievable talent. He was a first round draft pick, and everyone's going to say it was a dumb trade. I think that with Andrew Raycroft, he'd won the Calder Trophy or whatever for Rookie of the Year before, and I think they saw something. But I mean, compare me to Tuukka Rask at that point, he was a lot higher of a prospect, and I think talent wise, he was playing in a pro league, and experience wise, he was doing a lot more things than I was at the time, and I was the last pick in the third round. So, like, to put that pressure on me to the first round guy, it's kind of, it blows my mind that there's a comparison there. I mean, I did my best when I was there, but as I said before, like, you need some patience with goalies, and I mean, my maturity came in when I was playing in Europe at 27 years old. I thought that was when I was playing my best hockey, and I think if I would have got a chance then, it would have been a lot different story. But that's how life is.
Was that like a World Junior tournament where you kind of blasted off, and all of a sudden you're not this late third round pick? You're this, you got thrust into the spotlight due to your own performance in the World Junior tournament. Was that kind of attributed to that?
I think that whole season, I mean, it was just locked in. I had my goals on making a World Junior team after getting cut, and I just kind of zoned in, and I was chasing that season for the rest of my career. But yeah, I think that kind of thrust me up there. But I also had a super defensive team with Brent Sutter coaching, and we played very structured in the tournament. We played very hard and heavy, and we didn't make it easy on teams. I think nowadays it's just a lot of skill, and it's a tough place for the goalies.
Pokes, the great thing, just to wrap, I think, and just talking to you for the last 15 minutes, like, I think you've really taken, that moment in your career and brought a positive to it, which is outstanding stuff. So great to sort of talk about the past, the present, the future. Best of luck moving forward, and hope to have you on again soon. Thank you so much for doing this, man.
Hey, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for the invite and jumping on the podcast.
Thanks, Pose. Good luck the rest of the way, man. It was good to talk to you, buddy.
Hey, thanks. I'll never forget we went to, was it Ghost Lake or Casper Lake? Yeah. And you're doing backflips on the wakeboard, and then after we take off, you do a burnout on your Harley Davidson. I was like, this guy's the coolest guy I've ever met.
Why don't I remember that? Oh God. Funny story. This summer I turned 40 and decided to wakeboard for the kind of the last time ever, just to say I did, and I tore my pec right off the bone and was fucking laid out for months. It was brutal, man. Those days are long gone.
Yeah. It was something to see. This guy's doing backflips over the wake. I'm barely getting up, and then he takes off on his Harley Davidson, just shoots rocks on the highway.
Well, I always say Cole Noor was my first pick. Jay Rosehill was my second pick to do this show. So thanks, Pogues. Appreciate it, bud.
Thanks, dude.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That was fun, man. I think it's, I was being truthful. I think he's really taken what's happened. I mean, sometimes shit doesn't work out the way you want. I mean, you're an example of that too. 5.5 goals in the National League, can never take that away from you. But I like the fact that he's taken the positives out of what he learned, and now that's translating to what he does now. That's great.
Oh, that's what it's all about. I mean, you play goaltender for 17 years. It is nothing other than a complete success as far as that. And it's funny. I remember, and that market can be brutal, and it's timing is everything. And I don't know, it doesn't sound like he's looking back on it with anything but positive experience. And like you said, he's moving on to, lending that experience to other players in a high quality organization. So it's good to catch up with him.
I'll be honest. The one thing I did want to get to that we didn't, John Ferguson Jr., that era of Maple Leafs hockey, and the GM, that's I think when you look past just some of his decisions, were interesting ones. And one day I'd love to get JFJ on the podcast. We talked about before the pod. he was not a big fan of me when I was on NHL Network Radio. David Krejci's a guy I just was not a believer in, and I would get constant messaging from JFJ's camp about my handling of, I called him soft. I said he was made of glass once, and I got some scolding email back. It's part of the job though, right?
Scary stuff. Yeah. And so Berkey took over for him. Hey, that was a era where I wasn't paying attention as much, but oh Lord, is there any end to the decisions made by guys in his position that have turned out not very good for the Maple Leafs? They don't win a lot of that stuff.
You know what I was thinking, and I should preface by saying I'm a big tree guy. I think it takes a special person to be the GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think it's unlike any other job in the league. I'm trying to think back when the last GM the Maple Leafs had where everybody was united and said, like, we love this guy. Because even with Dubas, with Berkey, I guess Pat Quinn, the answer to that, he was the GM and coach of the Maple Leafs. And thinking back to that era, I mean, the Leafs were outstanding every year, but it seemed like the entire fan base was in unison. Granted, Reddit wasn't really a thing back then. Social media wasn't a thing, but I was thinking about that on the flight over here. I'm like, man, like I feel for Tree, and there's some stuff you're going to do well and some stuff you're not going to do well. Every GM's the same, but when you think of it, it always seems like there's a split in the fan base.
Well, I mean, look at right now with some of the takes that are coming out, and we talk about the heat that we get. I just think that is the deal with Toronto. It's just a volume thing. You have that many people caring and having an input and having an opinion on something they care about. You're just never going to get everyone on board. Just the numbers themselves, like everything we say, someone's going to say the opposite. A take on this thing, someone will say the other. Someone will say this is a good idea, this is the direction. Everyone will say that's terrible, this is what you got to do. There's people that absolutely love Mitch Marner and people that absolutely can't stand him. There's nothing about the market that isn't polarizing and that doesn't have people in debate. It's that big. You can't get that many people on board all the time, and we see it every day. And I don't know, I guess you probably have to go back like Dubas, and they put themselves up to scrutiny sometimes. I mean, what a roll of the dice to put Dubas in there. How old was he when he had the reins? And he's like this young calculator,
15,
number cruncher. Like, of course you're going to have people question that and be up in arms about it, especially when there's that much passion. And it's like, it's family, generationally based passion with this 100 and some year old hockey team. It's just the nature of the beast. And I think we're still getting used to it, but and we're going to go through some times right now where that's only going to be flames of that idea are going to be fanned here in the next little while as major decisions are going to be made.
By the way, shout out to Justin Pogge for the snooze bomb, like mid-interview, just like up top shelf like Erik Karlsson back in the day. So really, really respect that. We got a couple of super chats before we wrap. I know the Barn Burner guys got to do their show at the Leafs Nation 41. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Our guy, MRush89, is pretty much paying Rosie's salary at this point. We love you, MRush. Thank you so much for these 2 super chats. Best chance to win soon is retool to bring the character guys, leaving the last hole being a true 1C to lure 97 home. We're back to the McDavid. I can't wait for my return to Edmonton tomorrow or 2 days. Yeah, tomorrow, I guess. Like it's going to be intriguing, but a lot of conversation about what McDavid does. They can't get a save in Edmonton right now, too, Rosie. How about that?
Hoof to Maya. I know, and we'll get a taste of them here shortly. But you know what, Evans? That might be the saving grace of all of this shit. And if this retool
the Messiah comes home in 2 years,
seriously, that could be the one shining star at the end.
We
of the
can bring
tunnel.
The McTracker back. What was that McTracker? We had it for 1 day, then he signed.
When it was over, it was 900 plus days before the potential could come back again. What was the original question?
About like. I don't know. It's been consistent with MRush89 writing in. Like I'll just go on to add that he says Berube's demands are fine. His deployment is atrocious. Refuses to play youth like Quillen. Overplays JT. Underplays Lotz and Robertson. He should go. Yeah. Needs someone willing to develop, maximize players. I will say, like Willie, I thought brought the best out of JT over the weekend. I thought he was really good in Vancouver. JT.
Did you?
I thought he was better. He was moving a bit.
Yeah, I mean Willie makes any line better that he's going to play on.
What was that play in overtime? Okay, the nonchalant, like Austin and Willie behind the net, and like he didn't corral the pass. Like, dude, imagine they scored that goal.
Well, and to go back,
yeah,
it's That's my one critique of Craig Berube. Again, I don't think that he is the problem here. I think that his message, if they would wrap their heads around it and absorb it and commit to it, they would not be in the position that they're in. But his deployment of some people, like the Rafai and not Benning, just a small thing. Like, how often were we watching Myers out there? Some of the pairings, some of the lines, some of the inability to break guys up, like Vancouver. Are we going to see Willie and Austin together at all? He just seems to just have his mindset. And I think it's always been a knock on him that's probably fairly unanimous.
But dude,
is why is Lawton playing under 10 minutes every single night when there was so many times throughout the last handful of weeks where he's your only horse and your only redeeming quality on a stagnant team, and you still refuse to get him over the 10-minute mark. I think you could argue that pretty easily.
Yeah, you can. I will defend Chief. He has tried every combination, if you understand. Like, remember the first half of the season, we saw every possible combination.
Yeah, I do know. I understand that, and and injuries played a big part in that. Having no chemistry and losing your ass off constantly. I think it's easy to try to keep looking for that magic formula and to find the chemistry. It was obviously the beginning of the season was going the way it was. You're constantly trying to find it. I don't. Again, I am a Chief fan, I guess you would call it, or I don't see him being the problem. So the only critique I can have is sometimes the deployment and the minutes spread out are kind of head scratching.
Fair. Maxentius Decimus, thank you so much for this super chat and support of Sick Kids. I have bowel movements with more passion than the 2026 Maple Leafs. So thank you for that, Maxentius.
It's an exciting movement.
Things are great. I mean, people are feeling good. Matt Dalton writes in high five for bottom five. So that's the conversation right now. How do you get to the bottom five if you're the Maple Leafs?
You can't, man. It would be a mockery of the game to get there at this point. You have too many good players. The goaltenders have potential to play solid. It's not going to happen. You're too far ahead of some really shitty teams. I wish they could. I would like nothing more than to get a top 5 pick and see if you can rally around something that has potential to work soon and be a big impact deal. But it's just not on the horizon, man. Like, I mean, they're just, unfortunately, they're not that bad as bad as they are. I mean, the reason they're this bad is because they were supposed to be a contender, and they're not even close, but they're not so bad that they're going to be a bottom. Like, you got to get to the 28th team in the league. Unfortunately, there's some dog shit below you with a big gap, and you can't lose 20 out of the next 27 or 8. No. I'm just sorry, you're not going to.
They're not that bad, unfortunately. It's time now for the last call, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. Use code NATION. That's NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you're someone you know has a gambling problem, visit connexontario.ca. I'm going to play Willie tonight, anytime goal. And Bob McMahon, the pride of Wainwright, Alberta, always seems to step up against the Alberta team. So maybe I look at him for the shot prop, the anytime goal. I think anybody attached to Matthews right now, like Domi, we didn't get to that. Domi's been playing really well as of late too.
Yeah, 8-game point streak. I could see this hitting the over tonight. Okay. Who knows what the goaltending sitch is going to be? Is Stoli playing?
We don't know yet. We haven't seen the morning skate, but I would say Stolar's tonight, then Wool tomorrow to wrap.
I would get him in there as well. I'm waiting for him to be Stoli, old Stoli. But I mean, what's weird is, again, not to go backwards, but to play him in that Vegas game when right now, did he himself say, it's probably going to take 2 or 3 games to get feeling normal?
He did.
Like, that's pretty common. We should ask Pogge that.
Yeah.
That's pretty common. You miss 2.5 months. It's going to take you. You're going to have to shake some rust off. All the more reason, from the horse's mouth. Yeah. Well, then why was the decision to play you in the Vegas game? Like, that was, put a pin in that little spot on the old calendar, man. That's a tough one to
It was that game
justify.
And the night that he called out the team. Like the 2 most polarizing points of the regular season, I think.
And fuck, man. I mean, not to do more pile on, but let's just say we retool and get some exciting pieces and it goes as well as you possibly could have hoped. What if our goaltending? What if we don't stay healthy? What if Stoli doesn't play Stolar's anymore? I mean, we haven't seen it this season. We haven't seen it since last year in the playoffs when he got knocked out of the crease. So Lots of question marks, man.
Yeah.
I hope things start going well in this trend of leafiness.
Oh, it sucks.
Time to take a
We'll leave it
break.
at that. It's been great to do a show together in studio for once.
I like this. A little live.
We got to thank our friends over at Barnburner and Flames Nation at FN Barnburner. I believe they're only a couple subs away from 20K, so help get them there. 2 subs away, so 2 more, and they're coming up right after us. I'm guessing they're going to tee up this Leafs Flames game, but who knows what those guys are going to talk about. So
maybe I'll finally break down and subscribe here myself and get them over the hump here.
Yeah,
but, check them out as they got the old battle. I don't know what you'd call this, but Leafs Flames. It could be an exciting one. The Doug Gilmore Bowl. There you go. I knew there'd be a term for it.
I like that. So make sure you check out Barnburner. Thanks for the hospitality. I'll be back tomorrow. You're not here. You're back Wednesday. David Alter from the Hockey News is going to be in studio. We're going to break down. He's been on the road covering the team the entire season, so there's different layers to that conversation. So that's coming up tomorrow, Rosie. We'll talk on Wednesday, buddy.
Ooh, exciting. Okay, guys, we will talk to you then. Enjoy the game.
Sounds good. Thanks to Jack here in Calgary. Thank you to producer Vic. Thank you to everybody in the chat. At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. For Jay Rosehill, I'm Nick Alberga. We'll talk tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.